The Fort Worth Convention Center, where I saw Palm Peralta skateboard. It was Lance Mountain, Danny Way, I think. Mike McGill was there. I got Lance Mountain's autograph. Yeah, Lance Mountain was like pretty nice about it. I was like, can I have your autograph? And he signed this little hat. Mike McGill signed it too. I no longer have that hat. It was right, it happened, went down right there. It was a Pal Peralta in the early 90s. Right over down that way. They're all skateboarders. Green lighted again. In the end, all the billions of dollars that I will make and earn, it won't matter. It won't make that much of a difference. And all 10 of my children, it'll go to their generation. And you will simply cry. That's Whiskey Rye right there. Really cool bar. Omni. Water gardens right there. La 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 la. Oh, got the green light. Man, I was wondering when that project was going to be green lighted. Looks like so they went ahead and green lighted it. La 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 la. Oh, another green light. Another green lighted project. Look at that. The sunsets. Sunsets in the west. Like everything's symbolic in their little world. Everything's symbolic that they want to make symbolic to them. The reason why, that's what they say over and over about writers' work, vloggers' work, all this stuff. The reason why, see, the reason why is it goes back to the reason why, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you sound like my stupid drama teacher. The reason why, see, the reason why, blah, 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 blah. The reason why, blah, 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 blah. See, the reason why, just shut up. The reason why, there's a reason, there's a rationale, there's only God. Good night. Good luck. We continue. To people in church is like, if you live in a small apartment and they live in a mansion and they're constantly kind of, being ostentatious about all their furniture and their plates and all, just stay away from that. Find a group that's not really like that. And it could switch. It could switch. It could be all of a sudden they're living in the trailer park or the small apartment and you're living in the mansion. They know that can always switch. But remember this, though, if you invite the poverty people over, be giving, be nice, be willing to give them financially too. Find out what projects they're working on and get on board with it financially. Sell your house to help them, because God will teach you a lesson if you don't. And no one was going to jump on board with my project. When I was doing Flex Plate and Spark Plug, which is an evangelical project, you immediately want to leave at that point. Like, why would they not? What are they hanging on to? What is the purpose of all their assets in their retirement when they can't take any of that with them? They can't take any of that with them. Move on. Find a better church. The church gave me their money to make the werewolf film. This is what they would have to go through. Okay, I'll tell you in a minute. Second take. If the church did give me all their money so I could make this werewolf film, this is what they would have to go through, okay? They wouldn't be able to have their Nest and their Ring and their doorbell cameras anymore. They wouldn't be able to subscribe to Amazon anymore. They'd have to drop their Netflix and their cable. They'd have to get a cheaper electric company. They'd have to move into apartments, okay? And they'd have to live the life that God wants them to live so the werewolf doesn't really get them. And that includes J. Josh Smith and Ricky. Well, Ricky doesn't really have that much to give up anyway. But what I'm trying to say, I know they'd be like, we're on board with the werewolf film, Cole. We're on board. I know it's ridiculous, but this is what I'm trying to say. It's not an evangelical one. I might have one later. But what I'm trying to say is that they would be on board, but they would have to live, in maybe like a cabin or like in an apartment, which is what they want anyway. Those houses, there's so much upkeep. And apartments can be very fun. At times it can be a nightmare, but you find the right one. And I'm sure that they could. They did it for Ed Wood for Plan 9 Outer Space, and we all love Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yes, they love Alex Kendrick. No, Alex Kendrick wouldn't support it. And he's out in Bogart, Georgia, or not Bogart. I'm sorry, Alex Kendrick is somewhere near there. But what I'm trying to say is that yes, it's measly and stupid. And yes, it's money. But listen, your assets and all the stuff that you're saving up for and sending your kids to the best Christian college and all that stuff, it's not going to be necessarily the path of Jesus Christ. That's the comfortable way. TCU, come on. I would, if my wife or my ex-wife, if she said, kids are going to TCU, I'd be like, wait a minute. Hang on. We got junior college, I'm not dissing TCU, but that's a very expensive school. So they would lose what they would lose is called convenience. And if the werewolf film bombed or not, hey, that's why God put that into my existence. And I got a very, very, sometimes it's justified anger, but that's just, I'm sorry. I know those Indian people at, that particular church are certainly lucky Indian people because I know how India is. We learned that from Slumdog Millionaire, you see. So every movie, everything like that teaches a lesson. So they're there, and it's a nice church, and yeah, it's got rooms and stuff. But listen, I can promise you this. The God, before he left and was ascended, or before he ascended up into the clouds, and he told everyone, baptize, and then he said, the second thing, he said, heal. So we baptize and we heal. He didn't necessarily, he didn't say go off and make werewolf films. But in werewolf films, there could be, on the side, some baptism and some healing. Okay, but just, probably not in this one. What I'm trying to say is this, is that he did give the order to baptize and heal. But he did not say, go off into the world and create cathedrals and giant buildings. Go off and make a pope. No, he did not say any of that. We know that. He said, go baptize and go heal. Goodbye. And then he was gone. Everyone was like, wow. So that's kind of what went on. I mean, to be honest, the werewolf thing, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's an allegory. But, you know, when John Bunyan, when he wrote Apollyon, it was kind of like a monster little thingy. It was like a monster that he was writing about for a reason. And people like to read John Bunyan's little story, and it's got, you know, Christian, and he's going off into the sunset or into the celestial city. They like doing that. And he wrote it and he said, well, okay, I'll put this to this verse and stuff like that. I don't even think you really have to do all that, really, you know. There is some stuff in the movie that the ex-minister, Gerald Ullman III, ultimately an ex-minister, does talk about, which is that he doesn't want his YouTube show for the sake of having 3 million subscribers or whatever he says, 30,000 or whatever, 3 million subscribers. He wants to do it to go to dark places to bring the light of the Lord Almighty. So he says these things. So he's an ex-minister that's now hunting werewolves. And he wants to help people. So he uses this thing, this YouTube show, looking for werewolves, as this crazy thing, because one day he comes home to his London flat and no one's there. His 5 children are gone. He knows their names. And his wife, I think he calls her Lucy. I think her name is Lucy. She's gone, and there was no trace of them. And he goes to the UK authority, you know, the United Kingdom authority of missing people or whatever. And it breaks his heart. So instead of ending it all, he decides to create a relationship, a community with other YouTubers and stuff, because he becomes lonely, you know, being Gerald Ullman III, the werewolf hunter. Silver Fang is what he calls himself. And then he finds John Blacksmith, and they go off on an adventure to... he doesn't, like, Gerald doesn't want to kill the werewolf. He wants to kind of capture it and study it, kind of. John Blacksmith wants to kill it. It's kind of like this evil thing. But he wants to pardon it, and, you know, anyway. It's that kind of thing. So that was kind of the thing that I wanted to say. I don't know. But I mean, come on. If I knew I had to jump on an adventure like this, and does it mean, you know, sell the house, sell the assets, we'll live in an apartment, and blah blah blah. I might, you know, because I like adventure for one thing. That safety with all that money and stuff. But see, that's what filmmakers do. I mean, even Cooper probably does it. I think he was like 170 net million. Now he's down, like, last time I checked, it was like 70 million, because he put like 100 million into a production or something. And I know Coppola did it with Apocalypse Now. He sold everything. He had nothing when he made it. He was in the Philippines going, I don't even know how I'm going to get back. I don't even know how I'm going to get the airline ticket to get back. But he knew it was going to be okay, because he put his faith in his own project. And I'm sure he has his relationship with God. Anyway, it may not be to my church, but it might be to somebody. And everything's kind of, in a way, a church in a way. And I think, you know, there could be something there. You know, I'm still working on it, though. That's why I'm working hard on it. I'm taking my time. I did work on it a little bit today. Every day I try to do something different with it, to try to brush it up, get the English right, blah, blah, blah. Regardless, Linda's going to go get me a cookie. So, yeah, I went and listened to some of the stuff. There is some truth. But I don't know. I guess I really have to see if I had like all these assets and stuff, I really would jump on a werewolf film. I don't know for sure. So Linda now informed me that it would not be a cookie, but I did get a treat. So I'm going to share it with you. It's a chocolate strawberry, but they were given to her by I guess these are the leftovers right here. They were given to her by a deli nearby that gave them a gift, and I'm going to try it. Oh, they call the strawberry the forbidden fruit or something like that. Makes me think of Adam, the garden. God comes upon him. What are you eating, Adam? Cool. I don't know. I don't know. Eve gave it to me. You sure you don't remember me giving you instructions about not eating the forbidden fruit? I do think I remember something, like the first instructions. He's like, well, why did you do it? Because Eve gave it to me. What was I supposed to do? You want me to argue with her? He's like, now we're going to go into our exit plan. First, I'm getting a cherub with a big sword. Then we're going to close down the garden for a while. It'll be tended to by a guy named Peter Sellers. He also plays a character known as the gardener. Chauncey is his name, his first name. You and your woman go out that way. Chauncey's like, the garden will be fine in summer. Anyway, it's the genius of Peter Sellers and being there, which I highly recommend. Certainly not a bad film. Although there is a scene with Shirley MacLaine that's probably not on VidAngel. When I was vlogging that, I was supposed to save one of them for Linda, but I did leave her one of the cake things. So there's a cake things. It's a true story, because I was reading about Jim Carrey's life, about writing a letter to Carol Burnett. This is a true story. I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to Francis Ford Coppola. This is before I started sending short stories to American Zoetropia, because he does Zoetropia. I wrote him a letter before I left to Hollywood. So I just mailed it out. I just put Francis Ford Coppola, Hollywood, California. I don't know if he got it, but I told him I was dying. I needed work. And I figured that would work. I don't even know how he would get a hold of me. I don't know if I left my phone number on it or anything. I think maybe at the time my phone number was changing. I didn't have a cell phone, but my name was on it. That was funny. I wonder if they gave it to him. They probably found a way to give it to him. It was like a one-page letter. It was kind of a drama, monologue, like, I'm dying, I need work, and please help me. I know he helped Johnny Whitworth whenever Johnny was doing, when they did The Rainmaker, and I knew his brother, Danny. So, I don't know, I thought maybe, well, I can mimic this thing, writing this letter, and I bet I'd get work. I was working with Frank Darabont, so I don't know. It could have worked. I know Coppola is big in that town. And I just found out that Jim Carrey wrote a letter to Carol Burnett. I think he got a response. I'm reading about it right now. Reading about Jim Carrey, what ended up happening was, I think the family went homeless like twice. And he was in Canada. His brother and he, Jim, had to live in a tent off this lake. They worked in like this factory. And he got into the special school, and then he dropped out at the age of 15, barely going in 16. He made it to Toronto to the Yuck Yuck Comedy House. This like fat comedian worked, and hired him as a stand-up comedian, and he started doing all that contortion stuff and everything. His dad also told him to do it. He said his dad would make a great comedian, but his dad stayed like doing the accountant thing, and they actually got off the street and got a house, so they recovered. Then he explored the comedian, the stand-up comedy life, and he tried to get on Saturday Night Live, who rejected him, and they chose Charles Rocket, who Charles Rocket was one of their great Saturday Night Live comedians who ended up killing himself later on. And Carrey moved on and eventually landed in Living Color, and started, the whole thing. And then later would go back and host Saturday Night Live. They always do that a couple of times. It's amazing. My suggestion as a filmmaker, blah, 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 is to do a movie eventually about Jim Carrey at a young age. Now, I had the same problem at the age of 8 or so. I would stare in the mirror. Also, I would do mime. And I don't know where I learned the mime. I would look at myself in the mirror for hours, and then I would start doing mime. And I think I might have started on Sesame Street. And I just started doing it. And then later I would study with Marcel Marceau's people and stuff like that. And then even work next to Jim Carrey. But it would make an important movie, especially coming out of Canada and everything, of his younger life. And then I think I would suggest, if they did it soon, if they did it recently, because Carrey's still here as a consultant, use like Sam Riley. Sam Riley's a great actor. He was in Control, 2007 film, to play like an older version of Carrey. He's also, I think, a UK actor. And to find a young actor to play him as a teenager, you know, and show the teenage years going into the point where it would make a great, it'd be like a Best Picture nod. Just like they did with Charlie Chaplin. Robert Downey did that with Charlie Chaplin. But Sam Riley's a great actor. He's a great actor. He's great. He looks a little like Jim Carrey, too. And to show to the point where he gets to the Yuck Yuck Club, and then the next step, maybe even the Saturday Night Live audition, and then to the point where then he lands in Living Color, and you see that maybe up to the point where he puts the check into his father's, you know, coat, and because he did that, he wrote a check to himself for like. Another thing funny about him too is he wrote a letter to Carol Burnett. I mean, they're gonna do this movie. They'll do it. I don't know if they'll do it now, but if they do start to lift off with the Jim Carrey movie, they could use Jim Carrey as a consultant. You know, they could use him and say, well, can we do this and that? Or what do you suggest about this part of your life? Because they've done this stuff too. You know, they've done it with other actors and stuff. Fabelmans is kind of an example of Spielberg, but he directed it, but he was also a consultant to the story, even though I think he was behind writing it and directing it. Because Spielberg has done this. And he may win an Oscar for The Fabelmans because he's basically telling his own story. You know, Carrey could do it if he wanted to, but I think it needs to be done. It's an important story. It talks about poverty-stricken people. I know he's Roman Catholic, blah, 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 who cares? But it talks about these poverty-stricken people, you know, and them rising up. It's a rags to riches tale. And it's just, you know, they got to do it, you know. It'd be great to do it when Carrey's around, because he's in a retirement in a way. He's kind of in a retirement. But I'd be willing. I mean, it's hard. These screenplays, you know, but you could dictate it, you know, and he could. I mean, writing's very difficult, especially for if you're trying to tell the story, because you want to be like, okay, wait a minute. We don't want to go this far, and then we do like a Netflix series, and then we're just doing a television series. I'm talking about like an hour and a half to 2 hour movie. It's got to be done like a certain way. I think Chaplin was 3 hours, and they got Robert Downey for that. This would be, you know, you call it like Carrey, you know, or Jim, you know. I think maybe Jim, you know, or something like that. From Wisconsin to American Dairyland.
Well, hello, look who's there. Do you miss us, baby boy? Hi, how are you? I brought you a cupcake. Ah.
A cupcake for Kitty. Go ahead. Scratch it out. We know the routine. Get those claws ready. But it should get an extreme close-up of the claws. All right, Kitty. Soon you'll meet Gary Oldman, and all be happy.
Here we go.
With happy faces.
But I beat you.
What in the world? This is an example of OCD gone too far. 2 ketchups, exactly. I got mustard, I already told you.
I got it before you. You said you were going to the restroom.
All right. Here, let's do the werewolf kitty. Come on. We're going to feed him in a minute, but I want to show everyone the werewolf kitty. Extra light. Here we go, kitty. Just don't look at the light. Oh, get up this way. Come on, kitty. Oh, there we go. Are you okay? There we go. All ready? 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 And werewolf kitty. Do the werewolf. What are you doing? Where did you even get that bag?
No, Lucia spilled my bag.
Okay. Oh, the werewolf kitty. Going. Had to come from somewhere. Came from Kitty. Watching my kitty play. Play like the werewolf kitty. Kind of. You'll have to read the screenplay. Leftover kitties. We're having Sheba, which is the tender turkey entree. Kitty, are you excited? It is you that are the star, Kitty. You are the star. Now, you will leap into the air and land like a magic vampire bat / werewolf right here on the countertop. 1, 2, thrice. 1, 2, thrice. And nothing. If you want to gain this scrumptious Sheba treat, you will jump now. Okay, maybe not. Let's help you jump. There we go. You're getting heavy. Little Marlon Brando kitty. Edmund. Tuxedo Cassavetti. Then I'll drop this here. And you shall devour. We highly recommend Sheba tender turkey for your kitty. Shall you hit the subscribe button for Kitty and I, for little Kitty and I? I'm smelling turkey tenders for this shot. Oh, eat it all up, Kitty. Would you like more? More, Kitty. More. Would you like more, Kitty? Would you like a drink of the Subway? Drink some of the Subway drink, Kitty. Just a little drink. We're gonna get through this. Sorry about the tiramisu and the cheesecake. And also I'm sorry about the cannoli. I didn't tie the two together from the pizza. Other than that, you'll have to forgive me. Have more, Kitty. More. Eat more for me, please. Oh, good, Kitty. Try some here. Although they may have cheesecake at the hotel for room service, of course, it wouldn't be the same price. Probably about the same. The cheesecake at hotels, God, so good. All of the tiramisu, all that stuff they do. They have professional cooks. They cook it. Or they bake it with their own hands. Here we go, Kitty. Try more. Oh, more, Kitty, more. You look so good, so pretty. Do the werewolf. Okay. Oh, good. Oh, whoa. How dare you, Kitty? Why would you do such a thing? You know not to do that, Kitty. You bit me. Now, I'll turn into a cat. Oh, look at him. Oh, look at that kitty. Okay, you know to play around. There's so much. I'll go and have my leftover Subway sandwich and dream of the werewolf.